It's Friday Night Writes with the Stop Writing Alone community. I'm Nicole Rivera, and I'm here every single week sharing prompts, exercises, and writing prompt parties for you to be inspired for the whole weekend through. Come on in, bring your notebook, your laptop, or whatever it is you want to write with, because as soon as we get started, you'll be inspired to start scribbling away your weekend. Thanks for coming, and enjoy your Friday Night Writes. Welcome to February's Writing Prompt Party, where I invited writers to come right alongside me. We pick a prompt, set the timer, write, and when we are done, we read aloud what we've got. If you want to join me next month, check out the show description where I have the email list for the Friday Night Writers, and you will get your invite for March. So this is cool. We have a good group here, and we're recording for any of the guys that can't make it. But as promised, I'm doing my old shtick of the sticks this week. So if for anybody that doesn't know what the sticks are, comes from this box right here. It's the writer's toolbox, and the woman that put it together is Jamie Callan. I found this box. It's really sad. Oh, good. I found this box nearly 2 decades ago now, if I think about it, in the bargain section of Barnes and Noble. And I was like, oh, writer's toolbox. That sounds like fun. And this was really when I was first maybe I'll write some, maybe I'll get back into my writing and see how this works. I won't spend a lot of money. And this has been a complete and utter game changer for my life, because there are 3 different games in here. That's what she calls them, games. They're just different writing prompt exercises. One is a deck of cards that are filled with all sensory sort of details that you pull out 3 cards and let yourself go. One is these little spinners, and the spinners have one of the spinners is a protagonist, and one is a goal, an obstacle, and what am I forgetting? Anyway, it has all the different components of a story. Goal, obstacle. No, I'm not going to go off and try to remember. And then the third and my favorite are the sticks. I don't even remember what Jamie Callan calls them. I call them the
no,
sticks.
not the sticks.
Oh yeah, the sticks are happening. And you're in already. So what the sticks are there are sentences printed on these, and if you can see, there's different colors on them. And the different colors signify different types of sticks. So the green are the first sentences. The blue are the non sequiturs, and the brown are the last straw. And so this is a prompt that keeps sort of nagging at you throughout your writing, where most of the time we have a prompt and then we set a timer and we go. In this exercise, we're going to all get a first sentence, and I will set a timer and we will go for that amount of time. And then when that time is up, we will pick a second stick, the non sequitur, which will have some other phrase or sentence on it. Reva's like, what did I get into? I have a phrase or a sentence that you are then challenged to incorporate into your story. And so we set the timer and you continue your story from wherever you were with the second stick in mind. Try to get that guy in there. I'm also seeing Al's reaction. It's great. And then when the time is up again, we get the last straw, and it's the same idea that we'll have some phrase or something on there that we are then challenged to incorporate into our story wherever we're at, and also in that time wrap up our story.
And there's
Jackie, go ahead.
There's 2 things to keep in mind. You don't have to start writing that next stick immediately. You can write something to lead up to it, it can be,
it's not the first sentence again, right? It's not it has to be,
tweak it a little bit. Sometimes the POV changes or something, and there's been occasions where I've deviated from the stick a little bit just to make it make sense. If you're writing a first person story, and then all of a sudden, or if you're writing a third person story and then all of a sudden it's a first person, sometimes you have to tweak that or something. But But otherwise, it makes it easier because you don't have to write a 20-minute story. You write
That's yeah.
5 minutes and five, so you don't have to think of the entire thing all
It's
the way.
kind of like training wheels into the
Yeah.
full story, because whereas if I gave you just a first sentence and said I'm going to set the timer for 20 minutes, you may run out of steam within that time and say I don't know where to go next. And the way we run it is typically we do about 5 or 6 minutes per stick. And that's around the time that you're sort of like, okay, what am I doing? And something else comes in and you're like, oh, that's what I'm doing. That has to now come into my story somehow. So it is really, really interesting the kind of stories that we come up with. They're definitely um, twisting our imaginations in new ways that perhaps we would. I mean, I know for me, I can say factually, I would not have come up with on my own. So yeah, I think it's a really, really great exercise. And I even now when I get new prompt tools, I use them the way they give in directions, and then I'm always looking for a way to sort of use them in this way too. Like taking storymatic cards and doing them with timers to sort of help lead along. But does anybody have any questions about the actual the exercise or the sticks themselves or anything at all before we get started? Nothing. Okay. And I'm trying to think. Oh, so what we're going to be doing is that we're going to have the timer. We're going to keep going. And then we are going to read aloud at the end. You can do this, Reba, in the chat. Is that Jackie? Jackie, are you cheering on Reba? Yes, everybody can do. And I should say, because we have some new people here, remember that we are all writing first drafts, right? So what we come up with is going to be just sort of like our ideas. We're trying to get something. The expectations are not that you are going to come out with something that's like ready to go to print, but it is, just helping us sort of think of a storyline, a character. I think each person has their strength that they come to with this. So some people will do a writing prompt party and come away with like this very alive character. Some people will come away with a world. Some people will come away with a plot. They'll say, well, that is a very interesting sort of question to answer in another story. So yeah, just kind of keep yourselves in a I don't want to say low expectation mode, but like, don't sort of like beat yourself up about what's making everything perfect. Do it messy, as I say. The other thing to that point, since this is being recorded and going on YouTube, if at any point you feel like you don't want to be recorded, just let me know. I can always just pause the recording, or even after we record everything, you could just tell me, by the way, if you could do me a favor and just edit out my piece, that would be great. That's totally up to you. I don't want anybody to feel like they have to be on air with whatever it is that they're sharing, but you can still share with the group even if you opt out of that. So that is all for me. I'm getting sticks ready. Any other questions? Nothing. No, there were no questions in the first place. You guys are being too good. It's weird. As a teacher, I get very freaked out when no one has any questions. It's like, well, obviously, they're either terrified to ask, or I've done such a poor job of explaining that they can't even figure out what could be a question. That's a thing. That's a real thing, guys. All right. Is everybody ready for their first sentence? Nods. Excellent. And we also have, for the people that have done this before, we have veto power if it's something that we've done already. I don't really remember this one. Oh, who's in just in time? Sevi's just in time. Sevi, I just pulled the first stick, but I didn't even read it yet. And it's light green, so it's a struggle. Okay, first sentence. I will hold up the stick. I will also type it if Jackie doesn't type it faster than me. The first sentence is, he swore on his mother's grave, but then he swore on just about everything. I definitely put the emphasis on the wrong syllable there. He swore on his mother's grave, but then he swore on just about everything. That was better. You see the light green? It's so hard to see. Yeah, Jackie. Jackie typed the first sentence in the chat if you need it.
Oh, snap.
It would be easier to see than this light green torture. My one complaint about the sticks. Okay, so I'm thinking, do we want a cuckoo timer or do we want me to just set the timer? Reba's like, what the heck is a cuckoo timer? It's a digital, like a link to a timer that everybody can have access to. Do you guys want the
I
cuckoo
vote
timer?
for you because the cuckoo timer failed us last time.
Yeah, well, that was definitely human error. That was me. I'm going to get my phone. Here we go.
No, but it froze. Remember, it wasn't your fault.
I don't know what I did. Oh yeah, it was frozen, right? Because I started to think maybe I didn't look long enough. Maybe I thought it froze and it was only like a millisecond. No, it must have been. It's been too long. Okay, 5 or 6 minutes. How many people do we have? 9 people. I'm gonna do 5 minutes for our first stick as soon as I find my timer. Okay. Oh, it's already set up for 5 minutes. Okay. Does everybody have the sentence? He swore on something. He swore on his mother's grave, but then again, he swore on just about everything. And here's your 5 minutes. Good luck, everybody. Go right. I paused it so that I wouldn't have a huge file at the end that I forgot to unpause it. So just like you guys, like Jackie had said before, this stick can be a different point of view. It could possibly introduce a new character name. It could be lots of different things. So just whatever comes up, you want to sort of incorporate it. One of the tips that I give, if point of view changes, sometimes throwing it into dialogue can be helpful. And using it in that way. New characters, I got nothing except like you gotta invent a new person. So let's see what we got here. Okay, this
I don't
is
need
like,
any more people in my damn story, man.
yeah, the cast. All right, so it's first person in case that's a problem for anybody. It said, I decided the only solution was to seduce him. This does not work for me at all. At all. Just I'm gonna say it again.
Can somebody drop that in the chat, please?
Yeah, I'll say it again and we'll chat.
No, just type it out. I don't want to hear it again. Just
I just have to say that my character's is a brother, so this is going to be a little challenging.
Yeah, my kid
setup does not work with this at all.
My kid is 8. Not working. So this is a true challenge. And again, this is why we're all Al's voting it out. Al is voting it out. He's like, this is my first time, but we're taking the stick out. Break the stick. I am gonna try. I don't know. So just know that when I'm reading later, this was a curveball. This was.
Curveball. That's a curveball on fire.
Exactly. It's a curveball on fire.
Mine's meteor.
This is turned into a
so
dumpster fire.
So is it the only thing on the stick? I decided the only solution was to seduce him, and the rest was commentary on your part, Nicole.
Oh yes. I'm sorry. That was me. Although that could work too. Yeah, it was just that one sentence.
Okay.
In blue this time. The blue is a little bit easier to see than the green, but not much. Okay, let's get back to this timer. Yeah, I should have paused more. That did sound like it could have flowed right into it. That did not work for me. Okay. All right, 5 more minutes. Good luck with all your seductions. Here we go. Happy writing. Time's up again. All right. Last straw. Getting dug out of here. Okay, here we go. How did that go, guys? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Oh, I'm seeing a thumbs up. All right.
The only characters I'd had at that point were a mother and son. Ugh. I had a guy as best friend, so yeah, I was in a similar boat.
We all had to either turn our stories in very weird directions or come up with something new. Like, oh wait, what did I pick? I picked another non sequitur. Everything looks brown under here. I see. That's my problem. Where are you, last straw?
Okay, I need to ask a quick question. Did anybody else's connection just get really garbled when she said that, or is just that on my end?
Oh, is that happening?
Did that
Yeah.
happen to other people?
Yeah.
Because I had internet issues. I had the guy here for almost 3 hours today. So I'm happy to hear that wasn't on my end.
Yeah, and that does happen with me sometimes. And when when you guys tell me, because it happened a couple times in Happy Campers where people are like, "What was that?" Everything is fine for me over here. There's like zero sign that anything's wrong, like not even like a pause or anything.
It was just a
So
little bit, but I'm just sensitive. I want to make sure my internet's not being weird. So
yeah, no, it was like, what did I sounded like an alien or something?
just for a second.
Yeah. All righty. Last straw. So again, we are going to set the timer again. We are going to do our part to try to incorporate whatever this is. And then also sort of keep in mind that we have to wrap this up in some way. So, I mean, typically it's not like a full story, it's like a scene or something. But, you know, we do our best. We see what happens here. Oh, this is a long one. The last straw is usually so short. All right. What the heck does this say? Okay. All right. The lemon sherbet that melted all over the counter. So now we've got some lemon sherbet.
What the fuck is that?
It's yet another challenge is what it is for you to incorporate. So here we got a very sensory sort of detail.
The sticks are evil today. That's all I have to say.
What was that,
What?
Casey?
I said the sticks are evil.
They've been evil today. They've been really, really putting us to work. Thank you so much, Jackie, for typing those into the chat for me. So does
this have to be the last sentence of our story?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why she calls it the last straw instead of the last sentence. So it's just like our last straw, really just breaking our backs now in our story. So it just has to be somewhere in this space before we wrap up. Okay. And Jackie put it in the
island where there's no ice cream. What are we supposed to do?
Okay, I will throw this out for you again. You could put it in dialogue. You can do a memory or a flashback. You can do lots. When things are disjointed and don't fit, sometimes I go to a memory, and throw it in there. Or if you're on a deserted island, perhaps it's something you're dreaming of. So I'm going to give us an extra minute. Lucky us, 6 minutes, since you have to also wrap it up. Aren't I so generous? Good luck, everybody. That was your time. Give everybody a second or two to sort of wrap up. I'm just going to end where the heck I was. Where the beginning of this thing is. How did it go? I'm not seeing many smiles. Al, how did it go?
All right. The lemon sherbet didn't quite make it in, but I set it up.
Okay. Yeah, that happens too, especially with the short times. When I'm doing these by myself, by the way, because this is like a, very easy to play solitaire with the sticks. A lot of times I'll, if I'm going to sit for, 30 minutes to write or 45, then I'll just do 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. And then you can really, work to a space where you would get the full time. The really funny thing is, I have it in this bag, is that the writing toolbox comes with a tiny hourglass that's like 30 seconds. And I'm like, what does the woman expect me to do with that? So I always just sort of like make the times different. And we've done I think we've done 10 minutes as a group on Zoom, but usually that's when we have like less people because I want to make sure there's time for everybody to read. But yeah, and that's my whole thing with any writing prompts even if it's a start in getting you into something, the whole point is just to sort of open up our creativity and get us somewhere. So
Well, I have a complete story that sort of works, and I blame my Moonlight Meadery Raz what she said mead that I consumed in the past 30 minutes or so.
okay, very cool.
I second that emotion.
Decided alcohol might be called for today.
Nice, very good. Yeah, I'm on full caffeine because I actually just came from a call right before this that I was just like chugging a big mug. So I'm like, I'm all jazzed.
I have the day off, so I may have been drinking for a while.
She started early. That's great. So do we have any volunteers to read? Oh, Sevi.
Out of the gate.
Sevi's like, psh. And Sevi, I will ask just like, are you okay with recording it? Do you want me to pause? What do you think?
Maybe my face is like, my rosacea is really bad right now, so I might just like turn off the camera, but I can read it.
Okay.
You can't tell.
You look fine. But I will mute so that you can read your story.
Okay. So I thank God I like typed slowly and I didn't get too far into a story because I would have screwed myself over more, but because it started with two friends talking. And it had nothing to do with romance at all. So it was like, okay. He swore on his mother's grave, but then he swore on just about everything. Dude, your mother's not dead. That's messed up. I'm not jinxing my mom, Sean. I'm just telling you how serious I am. Jack bit out, pacing frantically. I just need to borrow a little money. I'll pay you back. Come on, I always do. How many times was it with actual cash, though? Dude, you're asking for $300 for a car you aren't even driving because you don't have a job. You can't pay that off by moving my couch or babysitting my dog. Sean bit out, trying to elbow past Jack, but Jack grabbed his arm in a skinny, tight grip. Sean, I need this, man. Stacy doesn't know I lost my job and I'm supposed to take her out. I can't do that with the car rattling like it's going to die on the interstate. Oh, jumped. Sorry. Let's see, where was I? Having enough, I decided that the only way to subdue him was to seduce him. You never took me anyplace with your car, and I've known you since middle school, Sean whined, leaning into his friend who paused in confusion. Why should I pay for you to take someone else on a ride? You said that you didn't trust me to not crash into a tree. Well, I wanted you to ask me more than once. I mean, don't you care about me? He moved in closer. Jack looked confused as Sean batted his eyes at him. Jack looked away uncomfortably. I mean, yeah, but I didn't think you were into that, dude. And I'm really into this thing with Stacy right now, so it's super weird. Wait, what? Jack froze like a deer in the headlights. I mean, just stop messing with me, man. Dude, you're bi? Yeah, look, this isn't how I was going to tell you. Dude, I've known you since middle school. When were you going to tell me? Most people kind of already guessed. I just thought maybe you just didn't want to know. Dude, I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to make you feel like that. I don't have 300, but my brother has a friend who works on cars. Maybe he can help you. Really? Shit, that would at least give me a fucking break. Shit, what, man? Dude, I forgot my mom's lemon sherbet on the counter. Fuck, she'll kill me. The lemon sherbet that melted all over the counter. Okay, and that was that. So.
I think it's hilarious because the story itself isn't funny, like if two guys are having this conversation and one's bi or whatever, but it's just funny because we know why it happened.
Right.
Like, it's not the story, it's the context of how you wrote the story. Like, oh, it's got to make a turn real quick.
He's got to be bi. He's got to be bi. That's why I said we're either going to have like super shifts in people, right? Because like, with the mother and son,
people.
It could be like a really dark story after that stick came up. And then I was thinking, I'm like, well, some people's sexual orientation is going to shift in the middle of the story. But that was great. And I also like how the lemon sherbet like snuck in at the end. It's like, and here it is. And it's melted. We're good.
Okay.
The dialogue was really natural. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Every time I heard the word dude, I could see the guy.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. No, it really was like a great conversation, a real good back and forth. I love the way it's like Jackie said, we know that this is like a pretty serious story. We're just laughing for other reasons, but I could feel that long-term friendship and like, dude, like this is how what are you telling me right now? So it was really, really cool. A lot of cool character stuff in there. And yeah, I think it's great. Great. Do you feel like you know these guys? I mean, goodness, it was only 15 minutes, but do you have a sense of like, will one of these characters stick with you?
If I was with them for a little longer, I feel like I probably could.
Yeah.
I know that they're like in their early 20s. They probably are like part-timers in college, trying to like make it, like trying to figure everything out, and maybe not doing the best job of it. But
Right. Yeah, I'm really surprised at how often I come away from a writing prompt party with like a live sort of character that keeps nagging at me. I'm like, it was 15 minutes. Like, what? Let go.
so,
But it happens, because
we'll see if like suddenly Sean and Jack just start popping up.
exactly. Yeah. I mean, they have two voices that, yeah, I can see. Great job. Anybody have anything else for Sevi? All right. Do I have, you have some applause down there. Do I have any volunteers for who's next? That was so weird. Jackie raised her hand, but went into the spot of Sevi. I'm like, Sevi, you can't go again. So I saw Jackie, and did I see you, John, also raise your hand?
Yeah.
Did I see a third hand? Susie. Okay. So we'll do Jackie, John, Susie, and then the rest of us are up after that.
I'm just impressed that I got all three into a coherent story. Maybe not the best story, but it all is one story. I didn't think that was going to happen. So let me see here. Hang on.
Oh, and Jackie, do you want me to pause or do you want me to keep going?
I don't see me doing anything with this, so go ahead and let it go.
We'll let it roll.
I think it's a little too I mean, it's a story, but I think it may be too janky to turn into something. I don't know. He swore on his mother's grave, but then again, he swore on just about everything. That was my brother, David. He could be quite a challenging person to deal with. And by challenging, I mean he's a pain in the ass. He was the kind of person who would walk into a toy store and start complaining about how the stuffed animals are too cute, argue that there wasn't enough peanut butter in his Reese's. And then he would launch into tirades over the smallest insult or infraction on social media, as if everyone was expected to follow David's personal rule book. Because of his contrary nature, you'd think he'd have a hard time making friends, but you'd be wrong. People flocked to him, wanting his opinion, craving his company. Women in particular were drawn to him like sweat bees followed me on its summer picnic. It made no sense, but maybe because he was so free with his opinions and curse words, people saw him as confident and charming. Anyway, that was the person I grew up with, whose shadow cast over me every day of my life. I decided the only solution was to seduce him. Wait, what? I can hear what you're saying. Seduce my own brother? Well, not for real, but I figured if I disguised myself and approached him, maybe I could start to understand what the appeal was for everyone else. Maybe he would start to talk to me in a different way, or maybe he would talk to me in a different way than he did when he thought he was talking to his sister. It took some doing, including a wig and a lot of makeup, but I was able to remake myself into someone he might not recognize. And I decided to do it online so I could put a bit of distance between us. How would he talk to the new blonde that reached out to him on OkCupid? Would he show me that there was something endearing and adorable about himself that others found so damn attractive? I was dying to find out. And when the day came, it seemed simple enough. He seemed to like Marcy, my alter ego's profile and personality. After all, I knew him pretty well and had a sense for his likes and dislikes. And in our text-based chat, it was going great. Before an hour had gone by, he wanted to switch to video, and I was ready. I had practiced the higher-pitched voice and had altered the lighting to cast intriguing shadows. He would never know it was his baby sister in the next room who was on the other end of the call.
Oh, shit.
But then he jumped out of his chair. I asked him what happened, but he just started cursing like a sailor on a desert island in the middle of summer without any water. He disappeared from the screen, and from my room, I could hear him shouting. It was hard to make it out, but I finally heard him yelling something about the lemon sherbet, which had melted all over the counter. Oh, I had grabbed a little to snack on before I put the wig on. I must have forgotten to put it away. Suddenly, my door flew open. Sherry, how many times do I have to tell you to put the fucking ice cream? He stopped. That was you? You're Marcy? I had yanked off the wig, but it was too late. When I agreed to be your roommate, I never thought you would stoop to something that low, Marcy. I know I told Mom I'd take care of you, but this takes the cake. In that moment, with his hair askew and his face flushed, he was adorable, and I couldn't stop laughing. Now I understood the appeal.
Oh my God, that was awesome.
That
And
was really cool.
I love the own personal rule book, and I love the that was really good. I liked it.
That was really, really great. Yeah, I love the twist and how you got the seduction in there. So I always love to ask this question. With 5 minutes, I know you probably didn't have too much of a plan, but like, where did you think you were originally going? Because that whole story really just totally seemed to fit that's where it was going. Like
I
it
had
feels.
no idea even how to start. I was like,
Okay.
I don't know. So he's cursing, and then I was like, well, but let's make it something interesting. And so then when I got the seduction, I was like, okay, I did not, I mean, this was exactly it. I had no idea where to go with the story. And so I would not have been able to write a story on that prompt if I hadn't had the two sticks. Because I'm like, I got nothing here.
It's fantastic. So. Sevi put in the chat that is, like you had like a solid plot in there. So it was
that's why I was so amazed. It's like with those two twins, I can't believe I had an actual coherent story.
It's great. And the humor in there is great. Like it's a fun little story. I think it's great. Very cool. Excellent. Does anybody have anything else for Jackie?
I just really want lemon sherbet now.
Right? It's definitely.
And hey, there's more to come.
Right, exactly.
I'm going to have to listen to Jackie's story again on YouTube because my kid was having a meltdown outside my door. I could barely hear anything.
Isn't that fun? It's always
worth
fun.
it, Al. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Well,
fun.
Yeah.
All right, John, you're up.
All right. Just a quick disclaimer / trigger warning. Like, I hope nobody's offended by swear words because, like, I use them.
John, I didn't ask you. You're okay with me recording you?
Oh yeah. I don't give a shit.
I did want to just say for everybody that's here, one of the things, like Jackie sort of alluded to it, and we've talked about it last month, but one of the reasons that we have kind of come to this conclusion that you might not want to be on YouTube with your story at a certain point is that we're not really sure where this fits in the realm of previously published stories. So if you ever wanted to do something with your story and submit it, and you went to a venue where it said, no, not being previously published, we're like, this might count. So, and that's why Jackie had said, she's like, I don't see this going anywhere. But Jackie, I could potentially see that going somewhere.
You could flesh it out a bit and totally do something with it. But like, I figure I'll burn that bridge when I get to it.
Same. Yeah. So go ahead, John. I'm sorry. I realized that we had some people that weren't here for that conversation last time.
All right. He frequently swore on his mother's grave. She had been gone for years, yet he still swore on it. Then again, he swore on just about anything and everything. Fuck! What is it now? Came a tired voice from the other room. God damn it! Fucking shit, bitch, piece of crap! The tirade went on and on. Sheila thought it would never end. She often wondered if it ever would. More and more, she wondered about her own judgment. She could hear her father now. Whatever possessed you to get involved with Henry? He would pause for emphasis and then go on. Of all the people in the world, you could have had anyone, and you had to shack up with this one. He would let his disappointment trail off, and in that long tail was found the seeds of her own discontent. Of course she got involved with Henry. She did so because she thought she could fix him. Still, she had one tool in her arsenal. This tool never seemed to fail. Sheila had learned when it would work and when it wouldn't. She decided that the only solution was to seduce him. Hey, Pumpkin, she called in her best Scarlett Johansson voice. Come here, love. I've got something for you. Fucking hell, babe. His head popped out from around the corner of the single room in their apartment. What is it now? I'm busy. You'll have to come here and find out, she cooed. Henry's face softened, if only a tiny bit. What are you so busy with? This stupid game, he managed. I'm stuck on this boss and he's kicking my ass. Wouldn't you rather have me kissing your ass? She breathed softly, slowly, kissing, licking. Henry disappeared just then. Sheila heard muttering and banging and words that might have been fuck, shit, piss, bitch, dick, lick, pussy, twat. Weren't those the 7 words you couldn't say on television, per George Carlin, the best comedian of the 1980s? He appeared right when she was about to give up. Henry jumped out of the bedroom. Typically clad in cargo shorts and legible t-shirts, her boyfriend came to life when he was naked. Ta-da! He claimed as if it was some great reveal. Henry's limp member kept on waving even after he stopped moving, and Sheila did her level best to keep her eyes from rolling. He took 2 steps towards her, suddenly on the prowl. Then his eyes flew open as he spotted something on the counter in the kitchen. They grew wide as he took a breath. He was about to curse again. She knew it. And then she realized what he was looking at. She had left the lemon sherbet out on the counter, and it was dripping down, congealing in a puddle on the floor. Fuck, shit, damn, hell, piss, bitch, lick, dick, what?
Oh my God, I am dying. You gave us a trigger warning, and I was like, okay, no big deal. But it's seriously, like, that should be the title. Trigger warning. Just
I love it. Yeah.
brace yourself, because here it comes.
Yeah.
Hilarious. Oh my God. And I mean, like, that's like, he's his own character, right? Like, again, I feel like that's somebody that's just popping off the page, and you just want, like, oh my God, that was good. That was really, really funny. So I mean, again, yeah, it seems to have all flowed with the seduction and the lemon. I'm always in awe. I'm always in awe of how you guys seem to create things. All of us, like that come together. Does anybody else have anything for John? John, I don't know if you saw it, but everybody was dying throughout the entire thing. Yeah, we were all cracking up. So
nice.
It's a good thing we were all on mute, because no one would have heard your story. We would have heard a damn thing. And it was great, the George Carlin bit, because that was, I mean, that's why, to me, your setup of here's my trigger warning, and then to like have the punchline to your setup was the George Carlin bit in there. It was really, really good. I'm sorry. I asked if anybody else had anything, and then I didn't shut up.
I mean, as the story goes, it's hilarious. It might be hard if you were to try to publish it. I mean, like that's always the trick with stuff like that. Even mine, right? Like if you're starting a story with swearing, then you're kind of like screwed.
Well, I would argue that it would be like there is only a few places where it could be published, so then it sort of narrows the focus of where you even try. So you're not like stuck with like, what should I do with this story? I mean, it's like, well, there's only about 5 places it can go.
Yeah, so. I mean, it's hilarious, but that's the real problem. I mean, and that's not with that story. It's just, I mean, you did it really well.
It was great.
Thanks.
So that was
well, for what it's worth, and even though fiction doesn't generally do that well on this platform, you can publish any fucking thing on Medium. So
True. Jackie, what was the other one that we were saying that's like Medium that is it Vocal?
Oh yeah.
Vocal.media, which Jennifer's looked into. I've just seen it and I haven't really dug into it further, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm the same. Yeah.
I also want to say that Chris popped in while you were talking. How you doing, Chris?
But Chris has the cat thing, like with me when I have the background and the
going in and out. Yeah.
Because the background.
You're very mystical. There you go.
The mythical Chris.
I'm doing good. I just got home from work.
Excellent. Reba's gonna have you all ready to go with the sticks. She's gonna. Are you gonna torture him with this one, Reba?
I don't know. Does he get to? Should I make him not listen to my story right now so he doesn't?
And then watch it on YouTube.
No,
You
so
can't.
that he
You
doesn't
can't
know
know
the-
what stick is next unless you want to
Yeah.
go in.
Okay.
If you want to go in the corner and write on the first stick and come back to us, we'll give you the second stick, and so on. No, well, yeah, you definitely don't want to know the second stick before you get to it, because I think that was the real
Kicker.
yeah, it was a real kicker. We had an interesting roller coaster this week. So everybody got shuffled, but I'm pretty sure my next person up was Susie, right?
Yeah.
So Susie,
Yes.
if you're ready to
Yes.
go.
And I will preface this with, I have never written anything like this before in my life. And I
It's a
don't know
win.
if I ever would write anything like this again. But
We've had this wonderful,
here
unique
goes.
experience. I'm very excited. And Susie, do you want me to pause or you're good to go?
No.
Okay, excellent. Oh, Susie
You're-
wrote something totally new. How fun. I'm muting.
He swore on his mother's grave, but then again, he swore on just about everything. Swearing was his art. Even diehard anti-cursing religious types were astounded at the mellifluous lyrics of four-letter words that would emanate from his lips. Why did he swear so often? He often wondered if he had limited his professional opportunities because of his constant and profound use of words that no parent would ever want their toddler to learn, much less hear. Maybe it was because his mom was a swearer. Or maybe it was because every time his mom swore, his dad would pipe up with an exasperated, "Millie, do you have to talk like that?" Then mom would reply with a wicked, "Why, Charles, you used to enjoy it when I talked like a sailor." Dad would roll his eyes and walk away, aware that he would lose whatever verbal battle might commence. He rolled his, okay. Where am I? Oh, he rolled over in bed and poked his partner. "I had an awful day at work today. That damn Dave kept piling on the work. I got so pissed that I decided the only solution was to seduce him." Mark's eyes grew wide. "What did you do?" "I came on to the little pissant and scared the shit out of him. He didn't talk to me the rest of the damn day. The bastard will probably leave me alone for the next month or two." Mark placed his hand on his chest and then fanned his face. "Oh, thank God." Mark threw back the bedclothes, swung his legs over the edge of the mattress. "I'm hungry." "Oh, fuck," he said. Mark shot back. "We already did that. Now come on and help me clean up the lemon sherbet that's probably melted all over the counter by now." And he sashayed out of the room, his bare pale butt shining in the sunny room. I'm reading this and it's awful. He fell back against the pillows. How was he going to break it to Mark, the love of his life? How was he going to tell him about his lie and that Dave, the pissant from work, practically tore his clothes off after his attempt to get the guy to leave him alone? Talk about swearing. That's when he really swore on his mother's grave and just about anything else that was sacred, including his relationship with Mark.
Oh, I love how you brought it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is like golden, coming back to the mother's grave and swearing on everything. That is very cool. So what is the thing about this story that you say you've never done before? Is it just all of the swearing that's happening in it? Or is it?
No, it's just the sexual innuendo and
Right.
the fact that it's a gay couple and yeah. And as I'm reading it, I get to one part and I'm like, what the hell? That like goes off into left field. But that's when we got the whole seduction thing. So
Yeah. And I think really with the sticks, that's what ends up happening, is that sometimes we're going one way and so then we get twisted and well, I gotta abandon that if I want to get this in. So it's sort of like a natural progression to happen here, especially if, like Jackie was saying, or who was it Sevi or Jackie that said I think it was Sevi. She said it's a good thing she types too slow because she didn't get to a point where she was committed to one direction that would have screwed her. I've been in that boat where it's like, oh, it's a good thing that stick came before I got to writing that line, because I would have not been able to come back from that one. But yeah, I think it was really good. And like I said, I love anytime anybody can bookend like that and wrap it back around. That to me is it always feels so like, yes, I was there in the beginning, I'm here now. But does anybody else have anything for Susie? Because I could ramble forever.
I just think it's amazing that you wrote that. I mean, I know you reasonably well now, and I know what you write, and I think it's great that you're going, because the thing about that is, if you continue to write fiction, like if this is something that you want to continue to progress doing from not having written fiction much, right? Being able to free yourself from, this is what I write, or these are the kinds of characters, or this is what I'm comfortable with, because you're going to have that character who's a pain in the ass, or who's gay, or who's really mean, or whatever it is that makes you uncomfortable. And you're going to know it, but you're not going to want to write it because you don't think you can. And so pushing yourself into that space, maybe you're not the kind of person who's going to write gay romances the rest of your life, right? But being able to write a gay character, if that's not in your comfort zone, is great, because you might want that later, and well, I did it once, it's not that big a deal, or you know what I mean? It's good to be able to stretch yourself like that. So I think it's great.
It's really good to hear you writing outside the box, like you're thinking outside the box.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we know the world is filled with a myriad of different types of people. And one of the issues that many new writers have is that their cast of characters all just sound like different versions of themselves. So it is a real testament to your growth as a writer when you can do exactly what you said, like I've never written this before. Well, that's like you're leveling up. And while you may never write that again, you are at least in that capacity now of writing outside yourself. And that's huge. That's huge. It's hard. And it's hard. It's really, really hard for, when it's like coming up against any personal belief systems and writing from another perspective. But even just writing, something that's an experience that you haven't had. So
well,
obviously.
Well, actually, one thing that I got out of a little while ago, I read a book called Several Short Sentences on Writing by the unfortunately named Berlin Klinkenborg. And it's
I'm sorry,
great
that
book.
name's amazing. Can you give me that name one more time?
Verlin Klinkenborg.
That is not a real name. That can't be.
That is a real name. I shit you not.
That sounds like a name that my son would make up.
It sounds like a gnome name, yeah. But regardless of the unfortunate name, it's a fabulous book. Okay. And one of the things I got out of it was that a lot of fabulous writing is done by implication. Okay. You don't write the thing, you suggest the thing and let the reader fill it out with whatever's in their own head.
Trust the reader.
So thus, all you have to do is lay out this set. Oftentimes, all you have to do is lay out the skeleton of a project or a story or a character or whatever, and let the reader flesh it out with whatever's in their own head.
Yeah, I think that's huge. That trusting your reader and just getting a reader to a point. There's always so much discussion about that in panels and everything, of just saying, like it's a conversation with a reader, and that's, I think it comes up whenever we're talking about books to movies and like, oh, they interpreted it wrong. No, that was like, that's where they found the story and went from there. Mm-hmm. But I realize that we're at the hour now. So is there anybody that needs to go next because, like you've got to go? Okay. So who wants to go next? All right, Al, I'm going to mute. Al, you're good with recording, or do you want me to pause it?
You can record it.
Okay.
Carl was ready for his quarterly review. He had spent several minutes getting his hair just right and his tie just so. Carl's tie was a fresh purchase for this very occasion. Last month was a little rough, but he was feeling optimistic about today, and that feeling only got better when he nearly ruined his tie in lemon sherbet that melted all over the counter. It was a narrow miss. All right, I got it there. He'd only started at Upper Windsor Monuments a few months ago. As he checked his teeth in the mirror, he thought that this was finally going to be it. He would keep this job for sure. The other 14 jobs from which he'd been fired in the last 5 years just weren't the right fit. He'd fancied himself a writer, but writing epitaphs was his calling, he decided. Meanwhile, behind the closed door of Miss Overton's office, she and her assistant manager were speaking in hushed tones. I decided the only solution was to seduce him, Francine said to her boss and friend. He wasn't going to pull the trigger on the deluxe mahogany casket with the extra elbow room, but when I showed him there was space enough for two, it was a done deal. Miss Overton dropped her jaw in mock horror, but the glint in her eye suggested otherwise. I trailed off there. Okay, enough of that, she said, waving away the tempting subject with a flit of her red lacquered fingernails. We have to figure out how we're going to fire that idiot Carl. Did you see what he wrote on the last one? And it was for family. Francine nodded. Yeah, poor guy. I hope he still has some family around who can help him out, maybe. I'd love to keep him, but it's just too risky. Sure, he swore on his mother's grave, but then he swore on just about everything. That's it.
Let me just say, first of all, this is part of why I love getting new blood in the group and everything, because you just did something that I never thought about doing, and I don't think anybody's done. And it's that you put the sticks wherever. And I freaking love that. It's like you edited on the move. So I'm, since I've been doing this since I was a baby writer, and I was just like, first stick, next stick, third stick. I've never even stopped to think about doing what you just did, which was like, you said, all right, lemon sherbet, where can I fit that? Let me throw it, like, oh, I can intro my story with it. Beautiful, fantastic. Because again, of course, if anybody could be like, oh, but that's not the rules, we get them in order. I don't care about rules with prompts, because what I care about is getting to a point of having a story, right? And making all things cohesive. So that was fantastic. So was that like, you started your story when we had our timer, and then like when a stick came up, you were just like, what do I do?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was doing. I was editing on the fly because I was just writing, of course, from the top down. And when you go in chronological order on this, I couldn't figure out where to put lemon sherbet. I couldn't put it in an office. I decided the setting worked best at his home.
Yeah. I mean, anybody else have thoughts? I mean, either about that or about something else. But as soon as you came out with the lemon sherbet in the beginning, I was like, oh yeah, I'm with it. Mm-hmm. Like, let's do this.
That reminded me of the one guy who told us to read from the back forward, if you remember what I'm saying.
Brian Mooney, who wrote and created Storymatic. He did a couple of parties with us.
Yeah,
and took us through the tools. And he asked, I think it was Sam wrote a poem. And then she was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about it. And he said, read it backwards. And all of us were like, what was that? Because it was just beautiful and amazing and so impactful on the other way around. So yeah, you're right, Casey. It has that brain flip to just always look at things from another direction. And sometimes that's where the power is.
I think it was brilliant. I could, if I took my current story, I might move things around, but I don't think I could write on the spur of the moment and flip the order. Like, I don't think I could have done that in the time that I had.
Do you type, Jackie? You type them? So I'm thinking of just in this particular situation with the lemon sherbet, right? That was more of like a setting thing. So like if you got to the end of your story and you're like, I have no idea, but I could have started it somewhere else.
Well, I could have said, added a line to the beginning, she was eating her lemon sherbet when he started cursing. He always cursed, blah, blah, blah. I could have done that maybe, but, to flip it all upside down and then to tie it around like that's pretty good for the time constraint.
Absolutely.
Like the process isn't hard. It's just, you normally need time to think it through.
Yeah.
plot it, and to be able to do it on the fly is pretty impressive.
I think my thing here is that door is open now. And I, like that's a door that I didn't have open. That if I
Steffi-
got to a point of like, I got lemon sherbet and I'm like, that'll ruin everything. It's like, well, what if I'm in a notebook, so it would be an absolute pain in my butt to try to do it. Maybe pull out Post-it notes or something. But
I didn't even have a tie in the story until the sherbet.
oh, amazing.
Oh.
Amazing. Susie, it looks like Susie's got something to say.
I want to comment on Sevi's comment.
Okay, cool.
She says, you guys are going to make me insecure here. Thank God I went first. Otherwise, I wouldn't have the nerve to. Why is everyone so good? Your story was awesome.
Seriously.
Your story was awesome.
Yes,
And there
Sevi.
should be a rule. We should have a rule that you're not allowed to tear yourself down after you hear other people's stories just because you think yours are better, because that really does a disservice to your own heart. So don't ever think that your story doesn't matter, because it does. It does.
Thank you, Susie. Yeah, I saw that there was typing in the chat, but I hadn't seen it yet. Absolutely. Sevi, first of all, your story was amazing. So like, don't even try right now, because it really, really was. And if you can't see that right now, just know that we've got no reason to tell you otherwise. If I'm like one of those, I'm going to say something nice or not anything at all. Right. And I think most people in this room would probably do the same. We're not here to beat each other up, but that includes beating ourselves up. It is really hard. I try now to, because I'm very guilty of apologizing for my story right before I start reading it. And I really like Susie's saying, like these rules, I try to tell myself, like, don't apologize, just read. This is what it is. We're all in total first draft mode. You do have a great story, but I know it's like, if we can't hear it, we can't hear it. But definitely know that I find it always sounds, everybody else's sounds more amazing than our own anyway, because we weren't in their heads having that train of thought. So that's already a magical thing, right? If I hear somebody else's story, I'm like, they're amazing. How did they think of that? I was not even in that place, that mind space, I thought of this very ordinary thing, but then my ordinary thing is going to sound like something unique and different to somebody else. So it's definitely, I think, one of those cases where the grass is greener on the other side. It's hard for us to own our own specialness, but it is definitely there. And
I didn't think mine was that good. I was only proud of it that I managed to get all 3 prompts in. I didn't think it was a good story at all, but you guys liked it. So I'm like, well, okay.
Another solid story.
not a
I didn't think mine was
competition.
that good either. So
It's
Yeah.
not a competition. It's not whose story is the best. It's, we all wrote something and this is what we wrote. And sometimes, I don't finish a story. I get like, I don't know where this is going, or whatever, but I wrote and I was here, and it's better than not having written.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's hard though. It is definitely hard. But I think Susie's right. Like it's almost like if you make it a rule, then you sort of like, we force ourselves to not think that way. It's like, oh, I'm not allowed. And so you got forced into thinking other things. I often say this, my brother is in the dating world, right? So he'll receive a text from someone and have like the worst interpretation of what that could possibly mean. And it's like, okay, that's total like some fiction that you just made up, because that's a possibility. And so is the absolute opposite. And the same is true of like all of our imaginings. Like just as bad as we think our story is, the potential is there that it could be also just as good. Like the potential could be, Sevi, that not a single one of us is lying to you when we tell you that your story was great.
we just do the work that we do, and the interpretation of that work is left up to other people.
Right.
And we don't have any control over what you might think or what you might think or what anybody else might think of our stuff. We just do the best we can do at any given time.
So that I don't know why, but when you just said that, that just gave me like an amazing sort of thought that I have no permission to judge my own story.
Yeah.
It's not up to me. It's
Yeah.
up to everyone else. So Sevi, I'm sorry. It's not your call. It's up to your listeners and readers and everything. So yeah, that's an interesting perspective. Cool. Cool. So who do we have left? I know it's me and Casey and Reba. Is that right? Everybody else read? Okay. So who's next? All right, Casey. I'm going to mute my Casey. You're cool with the recording?
Yeah.
Okay.
He swore on his mother's grave, but then he swore on just about everything. I swear to you, Mickey, there are other islands out there. I spoke to a traveler from one of them. I rolled my eyes. Sure, Ryzen. And just how much mead had you drank before you spoke to this figment of your imagination? You know just as well as I do that leaving this island is death. And I swear to you, if you try to spin a yarn again, I will dump you in Lake Pecan. Raisin scowled at me. I am telling you the truth this time. Sure you are. Just like the time you told me that you had seen a cat with wings, or the time that you swore that you were attacked by a tribe who had decided that the only solution to their famine was to seduce you with all of their virgins. It's not like that, Ryzen glared at me. I swear. Just follow me. Follow me. I will take you to the stranger. You can see for yourself. This guy is not from here, none at all. Fine, but when I prove you wrong yet again, you need to then skinny dip in front of Tia. Ryzen's face turned red. Tia was his longtime crush. Maybe if I could get him to finally make a move on her, he would finally stop with these insane stories. Ryzen may be my best friend, but man, is he a handful to keep them straight and narrow. We had met a long time ago. We had the same babysitter who took care of us. The first time Ryzen had stretched the truth had been the day he had spilled his lemon sherbet all over the counter and had melted. Miss Rita had been furious at the mess and had demanded who had known who had spilt it. Ryzen had sworn up and down it wasn't him, and with his baby face and blue eyes, it was hard to disbelieve him. I forget now who had taken the blame for it, but that was far from the first time Ryzen had managed to get himself out of trouble. Time and time again, he had found ways to get himself out of the hot seat. But he was my best friend and my brother. I love him, even if I can't trust what he says.
Very cool. What was the name of the lake again?
Pecan. I don't know. It was a word I found.
No, I loved it. I was like, that was amazing. That was great. So
Pecan, like the nut?
No, Pacon. I don't know. It was.
Oh,
I was looking
okay.
around my room and I was looking just for random parts of words.
Yeah.
I love it. It's funny because when Jackie read her story, she made a reference to a deserted island. And I'm like, Jackie's not the person who said they were writing on an island, is she? So yeah. So I like that. It was really, really cool. Yeah, I feel all of your fantasy tendencies in there. And I think it's even, that's why I asked about the name of the lake, because I just feel us getting drawn into some mystical space and things, even when the topic is pretty like contemporary and everything. It's just, always underpinning the whole thing. So it's really, really cool.
Pecan is on a box over there. That's where I got that from.
I like it. I'm with it. I love when people can like just put, one of the things that I love about writing, like being in the process of people like creating, is when you come up with something that's so wildly unique and off like that, but it's just ordinary, like in your story. And it's just, I don't know. I love world building. I'm not the greatest at it. So whenever I see it happening and feel it happening, I'm just like, yeah, we're there. I'm in Lake Pecan. I don't know what it is, but I love it. And it's totally different and unique. And that in and of itself is like such a lesson, right? Because it was just like a name that already took me. I'm going someplace else. I'm going other. So Yeah, very cool. Yeah, don't, and that, you see, you're close to apologizing too when you're like, I don't know, I just came up with this. It was great. Whatever it was, if you pulled inspiration from something off the wall, you did that and we didn't, so that's really, really a fantastic tool that you have at your fingertips to even feel that you have the permission to take a random word off of there and make it a lake. That is huge. That is how new worlds are built. I love behind the scenes stuff when then you're like, how did you come up with that? And they're like, well, I was driving down the street and I saw this street name and then that street name and I decided to put them together. Like Coraline, right? Neil Gaiman always says, like, how did he come up with that name? He was writing a letter to a friend, Caroline, and he switched the letters and it just, like, as soon as he saw it, he was like, I don't know, that's a cool name. I'm gonna have to use that somewhere. So just those little things like that build worlds and build everything.
Well,
And I think he even said that the flipping of the letters is what got him thinking of a flipped world, right? So
you did that by hand, right? That was handwritten?
Yeah.
That's amazing that you got that much written in that.
I didn't even think
time.
that. That's true. I was seeing your papers.
I
Yeah.
mean, you were handwriting, you created a world and characters and a relationship and, that much content handwriting in 15 minutes. Like, that's pretty good. I couldn't have written that fast.
Again, I
Casey,
thought
do
it
you
was very
typically
slow.
handwrite? Casey, were you the one handwriting your Nano novel? Yeah.
I still am.
God bless. God bless.
I've got 30,000 words into it, and every bit of it's handwritten.
You just told me the other day you had 30,000 words, and I completely forgot that was handwritten. Holy moly. I'm amazing. Amazing. Do you find it difficult to sort of get yourself into the headspace when you're typing? Is that like you're just more connected?
Spell check and the grammar check and all those red things bring me out of writing mode. I can't.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. I totally get it. Yeah, because I don't do writing prompt parties on the computer. I handwrite it. Yeah. Cool.
Oh yeah, I use a minimalist editor to do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
That doesn't have the grammar check and all that shit. So
Cool.
I
Reba,
did
what are
mine
you
on
thinking?
Scrivener.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. What was
I
that,
did mine
Al?
on Scrivener.
Al was serious, man. He pulled out Scrivener. He's not
Wow.
joking. I've done that too. And then I was like, all right, I need to relax. Reba, are you ready?
Yeah, I want to throw one last thing out to Casey. I loved how innocent yours was. I mean, like the rest of us just kind of.
And then you got my little itty bitty innocent story.
It was so precious. I loved it.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a great point too. Yeah. Love it.
Okay,
Reba, you're cool with recording or do you want me to pause?
sure.
Okay, cool.
Okay. He swore on his mother's grave, but then he swore on just about everything. Shit, he said. It was the 1000th time he had tried to throw pizza dough like his mother had taught him, and for the 1000th time, it got stuck on the ceiling. Actually, this time, he had forgotten to turn off the ceiling fan whirring overhead, so the dough not only stuck to the ceiling fan, but it stuck to the ceiling, the wall, and every other surface in the kitchen. Aw, it's okay, Karamia. Try again. He could hear his mother's ghost say from the vent. Being ethereal, his mother's ghost was the only thing that the pizza dough didn't stick to. He had sworn on his mother's grave that he would take over the family business, a small rustic pizza parlor that had been started by his grandfather when he came over from Italy. Even though he was practically raised in the pizza parlor, he mostly spent his time choosing his toppings and eating the pizza his mother made him instead of actually making pizza. Sure, he could make dough most of the time, but he could never quite get the spin of the wrist action just right to make the perfect hand-tossed crust, which, as his mother always told him, was the most important part of the pizza. He went over to the wall and flipped off the switch for the ceiling fan. He noticed it was probably a good thing that this pizza dough didn't make it into the oven. He didn't add enough flour, and it dripped languidly off the blades and made sad, wet, disappointed plops onto the floor. Ah, Karamia, his mother's ghost, wisped out of the vent and came to rest around his shoulders in an attempt at a hug. Practice makes perfect. Your father, he could not make the pizza dough either. But that's what I get for marrying someone from Nebraska. He came into the pizza parlor every time he got his allowance, and even though I was only 8 at the time, I decided the only solution was to seduce him. Fuck, Mom, I don't need to hear this now, he said, which made his mom laugh. Somehow, as a ghost, her laugh came out a little more like tinkling bells, somewhat of a mix between her actual laugh and the noise that Tinkerbell makes when she stomps around and scolds Peter Pan, which suits her Italian heritage just fine. He looked down at his goopy, doughy hands. He had been in the kitchen all morning trying to prep for the dinner rush. His hands were stained red from chopping tomatoes and letting the sauce simmer leisurely in the giant stock pot on the stove. His eyes watered from the lingering fumes of fresh onion and garlic grown from their own backyard garden. As he went to wipe his brow, he noticed it was slightly sticky, most likely from doing the same action when he cleaned up the lemon sherbet that had melted all over the counter. His mom loved lemon sherbet and still insisted that he buy it, even though she couldn't eat it as a ghost, for old time's sake. One last time, he said, and then I'm calling Antonio. Aye, Karamia, maybe tomorrow it will click. He took his yeasty dough, his grandfather's recipe, and sprinkled some flour down onto his workspace. He separated a chunk and began working it with his tomato-stained hands. Gradually, he kneaded it out into a circle and prepared himself to throw the dough. He could feel his mother take a brief inhale to hold her breath as he started gently tossing and spinning it. He built up to the big toss, and the dough seemed to pirouette all on its own, its skirt fanning into the spicy air, twirling in sheer delight. It almost seemed alive. Finally, on the 1,001st time, the dough gracefully fluttered down back into his hands. Again, he tossed it, and it leapt into the air like a child on a trampoline. He could almost hear the squeal of delight as it spun in the air and came back down again and again. Gently, he laid it back on the counter and marveled. The dough, his mother, and him all let out a collective sigh of contentment.
Shut up.
I
Shut
almost
up.
spat coffee all over my computer screen when you introduced the twist or the whatever the second thing was. Oh my God.
Reba, that was beautiful. It was really,
Oh,
really
thank you.
beautiful. And I know that, like this, you say this is your first entryway into fiction. And I think, I mean, your descriptions are just so gorgeous, and it's very clear that you're a baker and that you have experience in the kitchen, right? But I think that's what it makes your world. I mean, goodness, what a touching story automatically, and then that just all of those details of the twist of the wrist and the dough and the textures, um
The detail was
beautiful,
nice.
wonderful. And I
The
think that
detail
is,
draws you in.
yeah, I think that is one of the things that nonfiction writers are really, like that's a great practice that you have, right? When you're writing nonfiction, it's describing the scene and things like that. But to draw that over into a created world, I mean, I think everybody else can say, but like that was a vivid experience, and it was just really, really beautiful to have the ghost of his mother there. And like John said, that was really, really funny with the 8-year-old seduction, but it was really also just such a sweet relationship built between this mother and son. So my goodness, please keep writing
Thank
fiction.
you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody else for Reba?
The descriptions, I put a couple things in the comments, but like I saw Susie's face too when you described the dough going up, coming down, fluttering down like a skirt or whatever. Like that was just so good. And I mean, I was dying when the mom was making him buy the sherbet even after she was dead. I mean, these are the little details that, I mean, nobody would even know that was a story prompt, the way you tied all those in. Like mine, it's sort of like, but yours is just woven in so tight that nobody would, I mean, they would think that's what you meant the whole time. And the seduction, like those did not feel forced at all. So I don't know how you feel like you can't write fiction or whatever, because that was high level quality writing skill.
It was gorgeous. Gorgeous. Yeah. Like Jackie says, there's sometimes we read our stories and it's like a big blazing light when the prompt comes in. It's like, there it is. There it is.
Yes.
Yours, not at all. It really does feel like from beginning to end that was the plan. And that, I mean, everything just, really, really good stuff, Reba. Really good stuff.
Thanks. Yeah, oh man, that second one threw me for a loop. I was like sitting here like chewing on my finger. I'm like, oh, great. Where do I go with this?
Yeah, it did throw everybody for a loop, but you really did a wonderful thing there. So, I mean, since this was your first experience, Reba, I'm just wondering, having that challenge, did you feel like you got derailed from what you were originally intending, or you hadn't had time to get deep enough in to feel derailed?
It almost felt like it made it even more crystal clear.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. Like who is it? Someone asked how I wrote so much. Oh, Al asked how I wrote so much. I just I was doing the morning pages last year, me and Chris were, and and you just like keep going, like you don't take a break, you don't take a breath, you just like word vomit. And so
Was
I
this
just
handwritten, Reba?
No,
Oh, okay.
I was typing, but I was just like word vomit typing, like I didn't stop to like think. And I feel like that's where I like with fiction that really trips me up is like the stopping to think. But like with this one, I'm like, I can take my time and like describe the scenery and like flesh things out that way instead of like, I don't know. For some reason, when I think of dialogue, it gets very like clunky and artificial in my head. But like this felt a lot more natural, just like focusing on all the sensory stuff.
On this end as well, for sure. It all just came together. Wonderful.
I'm kind of curious if anybody has a word count for like roughly, or for if you hand wrote, then like roughly how many words. I'm not that volume is any solid indicator of quality, but I'm just curious.
I have this little dude here, and I'm 1, 2, 3, 4.
I would say mine is
4 pages, a little bit more.
Roughly 300 words, roughly.
Okay, cool.
Mine was 631 somehow.
Nice.
Nice. We have play fighting in the background now. Now that it's my turn to stay off, keep my mic on and read.
737.
Oh wow.
I'm a fast typer.
Yeah.
I know we have.
I got 508.
We've got 314 from Al with awesome editing. That's what happens there. That's good.
I know you haven't read yours yet, Nicole, but I just posted a link. If anybody, did I share this in Stop Writing Alone? I can't remember now. But it's there's a call for flash fiction. There's a contest, but then there's also an ongoing call for publication, and then for an anthology, and it's a paying market. I mean, it's not a great paying market, but flash fiction doesn't usually pay that great anyways. It's so short. But if anybody likes their story that they wrote today or something else we've done in a writing prompt party, these are in the ballpark for this. And Reba, yours in particular, I think you should, polish that thing up and submit it, because that's a great story.
Yeah,
totally.
I mean, I think everybody's was good. I mean, it's not a competition, but I would love to see that one out in the world.
Yeah, I think what ends up happening is like we're all in first draft mode, but then that's like it feels like that's a step, like you're much closer to your finish line, Reba. Like you're basically pretty much ready to go. I mean, it was very complete and like we said, very rich in the setting and the world. So yeah. Oh, what happened here?
But
What did Al
no.
say? I was really rooting for the
Yeah,
protagonist and his pizza dough big time. So true. So true.
me
That dripping
too.
pizza dough was like, yeah, that hurt my soul. So it really needed, that was a great happy ending. Turn it all around.
And I've
Alrighty.
worked at a pizza place and thrown the dough, and it definitely takes some practice.
It's not a, yeah, it's not a very simple thing.
One thing that
Looks like people are doing it no
you can
problem.
add, if you've never done it, is one thing that happens when you do it is flour comes down
Yeah.
on you. Like when you're throwing it, it gets everywhere. So that's a great detail.
Well, that's why that he should have known when the flour didn't come down that already he had not put enough flour.
But that's the one thing that I remember more than anything is like I would leave,
Being
like I would
showered.
actually be wearing a bandana. It's when I really started wearing bandanas. Everything was just caked with flour by the end of the night.
Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna
Well, we
add
are
that.
almost at are we really almost at 2 hours here? It's gonna be, yeah. All right, let me read my story so you
Go.
guys can go to bed and all those things.
Oh, wait, that late.
What's it? No, it's not that late. Definitely. I won't convince my son to go to bed for another 5 hours. So what am I talking about? It's Friday. He swore on his mother's grave, but then again, he swore on just about everything. He was 7 at the time, and he had just learned about the power of the swear, so he was slightly abusive of it. But on that Thursday, when Jeremy said, "I swear on my mother's grave," he was red-faced and spit was flying out of his mouth in a way that conveyed a level of seriousness the swear could not. "Okay, Jer, tell me again," I said. "You got to take notes, Uncle Chris. You got to do the report. This is serious." His eyes were watery, and I wasn't good with truly emotional kids, even when I was related to them. So I did what he said. I don't know what the heck I wrote there. So I did what he said. "Good," he said, eyeing the pad carefully, waiting till I had pen in hand, ready to write. It was right after school. It was over the schoolyard. It was silver and shine. Are you getting all this? I'm giving you the stats for your investigation. He was such a stickler. I wanted to treat him like a hostile damn witness, but I knew my sister would gut me. I decided the only solution was to seduce him. I folded my pad. "Jer, what if we just get some ice cream from Ralph's?" "Ralph's, Uncle Chris? What am I, 5? I saw a UFO. You are the police. They taught us in school that you guys are like the protectors of us. I'm thinking I've got an in with you being my uncle and stuff, and you want to wash it away with ice cream?" He was 2 heartbeats away from kid tantrum. I had to think quick. "Jeremy, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, why don't we get ice cream while I take your statement? Lord help me, I am never having kids." "Oh," Jeremy said. "Okay." We got to Rouse 15 minutes later. I didn't let the kid tell me a single thing about the case on the drive. "Ice cream statements only," I said. "It bears clearer heads." And he bought it. But when we got to the front of the line, we could smell the lemon sherbet that melted on the counter. He spoke for the first time. "You know what, Uncle Chris?" "What is it, bud?" "Do you think it could have maybe been one of those drones?" And then the timer went off. That is as far as I got. I was gonna try to like add in another sentence. I'm like, no, I'll just leave it right there. Well, that is my little ditty. And I put in, so Ralph's is a famous ice place here on Staten Island that just opened
Oh.
yesterday. So that's why it's on my mind.
I thought it was a grocery store because in California it is.
Yeah, no, Ralph's is a big deal here in Staten Island. Yeah, look up Ralph's Famous Ices, Staten Island. It's one of our things. Sevy knows. They opened yesterday. So I'm like gearing up. I gotta go. And my favorite thing, this is what's bugged out about it, is that I wrote Ralph's during the second stick. And my favorite thing to get at Ralph's is their lemon ice. And the next stick was melted lemon sherbet. That's why I was like, huh, all right. That works. So very cool. So everybody, guys, you are, as always, amazing.
Does anybody have any comments on Nicole's story?
Yeah, right? She always tries to scoot
I'm
out.
sorry. I forget. I'm just like, I'm done. Good. Let's go.
So you came up with the ice cream before the ice cream stick.
I was thinking about how an uncle would seduce a nephew. So I was like, candy or
yeah.
ice cream. But candy just doesn't seem to have the same draw.
Candy's
as,
got a pedo feel to it.
maybe, yeah, maybe that's it. I don't know. I just feel like ice cream is more like
He's not
An
Sebby.
experience.
so I was like, ice cream might be, and
Experience.
I was also thinking, since it was his uncle, like ice cream could have been like a tradition they had. We don't have to, we do have like one old fashioned sort of candy shop here on Staten Island, but that's candy and ice cream. So it's still ice cream. So that, yeah, I came up with the ice cream before.
You said you ran out of time, but the ending actually works.
Well, that's why I said I wrote like a couple of words and the timer went off and I was like, I think I can end at the drone. I can stop right there. I won't go on. So yeah, it kind of, it's okay in terms of like, if I'm thinking of it as a scene, not like a complete
No,
story.
it's a complete story because
Yeah.
he thinks he's seen something and the uncle is trying to basically talk him down.
Right.
And it's not going to be a UFO. So he'd like distract and
Yes.
then he's like, well, you know, maybe it wasn't.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
like, so yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's a some kind of solution for sure. Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah, it's pretty funny. The seduction. I was really like, no, he's a child, and this is his uncle. I don't like it. I don't like this. So, for those of you who did this for the first time, what were your thoughts? I think I've got Al and Reba, right?
Yeah. It was pretty much it was a really good exercise. And to tell you the truth, I didn't realize we had to go in order.
I figured,
Like
I absolutely figured that when you were reading, but I was like, it was brilliant. That's what I love about it, because I didn't realize I could do them out of order until you did that.
Well, like I typed in, he swore on his mother's grave, but then he swore on just about everything. And I'm like, okay, that sounds like a punchline. I'm leaving that at the end.
Yeah. Yeah. Why not? I love it. Love it. Yeah. That I really love that whole new learning for me. So it's always wonderful when somebody is like, oh, I made this mistake. It's like, no, you've opened a whole new world for me. That's fantastic. Yeah. Reba, how about you? I mean, both of you guys did amazing for a first time doing this. Both of you are like, and it's really funny because it's two different perspectives, right? Al had this nice, tight, short story, and Reba has this like lengthy, rich thing happening. I love it. I'm okay. I'm geeking out. Reba, tell me, how do you feel? Oh no, she's frozen.
It was fun.
Do we have you
Am I back?
hooked? Will we have like a Reba and Chris show maybe next time?
Yeah, Chris has been like poking me to write for a long time. I don't know, because I have like really weirds all the time. And so I'm always telling him what happens in my dreams. And he's like, you need to write this as a story. And I'm like, no, that's what I'm telling you. So you
use it.
Write it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, two
Yeah,
talented souls.
It was
in that
a lot
house.
less scary than I thought it would be.
Yeah, one of the things that I say to people that haven't come before is that I think it's less scary because we're all in it. You know, like we're all doing it at the same time. So it's sort of like we're all equally terrified and not terrified. We're just doing the thing and we're in it together. So it's cool. Yeah, great job, everybody. I had a blast. I can't believe, did we hit, we're just about to hit 2 hours. That may be the longest writing prompt party ever. We may have broken some sort of record.
There were 8 of us, and we usually have like 4 or 5. So.
Right. And everybody read, and everybody, you guys are awesome. I love it. So I will be, not really editing, but I put it like a beginning screen, end screen and everything. So if I don't get this out tonight, I'll get it out tomorrow, but I'll make sure to share the link, obviously, and Stop Writing Alone. So make sure that you grab it up because you guys all need to share your awesomeness. You all did so good. I'm really excited. And for anybody looking for happy camper stuff, that like this weekend, I'll be sending out the schedule. The schedule I'll probably send out tonight. That's why this video might not make it till tomorrow morning. And then yeah, any other information and stuff will come out over the weekend. And then this writing prompt party for the Friday night writes will happen again in the fourth week of March. So yeah, I hope to see you guys again.
Any new happy campers in the group?
I think we have not here. No, Christina, I think was our last new sign up for Happy Campers. But Casey's officially in. Sevi's officially in. Yeah.
I got paid this morning, so I'm finally able to pay you.
It's good stuff. But yeah, we'll be staying connected with everybody. Susie?
Al is this is his first time, isn't it?
His first time in the writing prompt party, yeah, for sure.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if it was happy campers or not.
Never
Well,
done any writing groups ever. And
Really?
I want to so badly.
Oh yeah. Al's waiting to see the schedule for sure to make sure. Like, and he's not alone. I totally get that because the times, if you can't come, then what is the point of the investment? So I'll be getting that out tonight for sure.
Well,
So
Al,
they
I
can-
hope you join us because it's super fun and we have like this past week, it just gets better because we get to know each other more and do lots of fun stuff.
Thanks. Yeah, I've been raving about it to Stella, my partner, and I got a buddy of mine who's also a writer to sign up for Facebook. I think he was talking to you, Casey.
Yeah.
Peter Ivy.
Yes, Peter.
Yeah, he was.
He did his intro today, which was great. And then he inspired Adrian to intro herself, which is a friend of mine from another group who was just having an event that I'm like, can I share it in the group? And she's like, I guess I'll introduce myself, even though I've been around for. I'm like, good, thank you.
Well,
So
I
Peter
told
did
Peter,
awesome.
I said, let's do a write-in. We're supposed to do one today, but he had to take his wife to the doctor or something. But we're going to be doing on Zoom, just the two of us.
That's perfect. Yes.
Yeah. And
You should
I'd
post
like to
the
do the
toolkit.
happy
You can
campers
get it
thing
off
too, but I
Amazon.
can't commit to every day of the week. So
Yeah, that, and I get that. That's why I try to, and I say this with the happy campers all the time. I'm like, somebody's got to remind me to do a write-in for Stop Writing Alone, because once I get into the months of it, I'm like, no, I've been doing it all along. And I'm like, no, I haven't done it for Stop Writing Alone. What am I doing? So, and the same thing Sevi knows with the Staten Island Writers Group. I'm like, especially because we've been in quarantine.
Yeah.
I'm like, these poor people, we haven't met up in so long. So,
I mean,
yeah.
to be fair, I mean, there's the goal setting, there's a write-in, there's the chat and kind of catch up on goals, there's the new critique section, and then there's this. So it's like 5 days a week, but it's not the same thing every day. And if you miss them, it's not, the end
Yeah.
of the world.
Yeah, we end up repeating ourselves sometimes.
when's the
It
next
happens.
the next happy campers thing happening? Do you know?
Dependent on quarantine life. So in my mental schedule, I have like March, April, take May off, June, July, take August off, and then take August and September off, and then do October, November for NaNoWriMo. Because September is bananas over here, big time schoolhouse here.
Yeah.
But I'm not committing to that in the broader scheme of things, because the summer, if things sort of open up, I think the Riveras are going to like leave town. So I don't know that I will be connected for July and June, since everybody's off and everything. So June and July. Why did I say that July and June? Why did I do that backwards? June and July are like my question mark, but definitely for NaNoWriMo. And then, like the summer is dependent. And then I want to do like our Stop Reading Alone on the in-betweens, like that we've been doing. For anybody that doesn't know, I started for the first time this year, Stop Reading Alone, and we read The Listening Path. I don't know what I did with that book by Julia Cameron. Bought it sight unseen. It's like, Julia Cameron, let's do this. So Susie and John and Jackie have been in that group with me, and we've been reading through that book for the last 5 weeks. This week will be our last week, right? It's a 6-week book. So we're gonna, see like what will we read next in like May. And obviously like that door will be open to everybody, but it's always fun to have different discussions about different things. And I like when I have downtime to like read. That's like my fill up my cup. Like writing is so much output, and then I like to input. I've been reading like crazy right now. So that's like my tentative schedule, but because of the nature of last year,
Yeah.
I don't want to lock the family down on anything, just in case we are released. Just in case we are released, I want to make sure we can take advantage of that while they're on vacation. So, but I cannot thank you guys enough for sticking around for so long today. This was a really great one, and I will talk to you all really, really soon. Check your emails. I'm sure I will be annoying them all weekend, as I do.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Nicole.
y'all.
And no matter what, I'm going to be joining at some point.
Excellent.
So
Sounds
we're
great,
on
Al.
this one.
This has been a fantastic week. I thank you so much for showing up all week. Casey, you did it, girl, the entire week. And Reba, this was so cool to have you. I was so surprised when you popped on, but this was absolutely wonderful. It was great. And John, you got to be silent this week. We're listening to silence for week 6. I don't know if you can handle it, but that is our final chapter.
That sounds like an injunction.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? Julia Cameron's always about shutting us down at some point. She's got that reading deprivation week in The Artist's Way, if she wants to shut us down. And now in this book, she's ending off with silencing us. But I think it's only for a couple minutes. I didn't read yet. I'll go do that. But I will see you guys all really soon. Have a great night. Have a great weekend.
Take care, y'all. Thank you.
Guys.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Everyone was great.
Once again, I want to thank all the writers who participated this month, but I also want to thank you for coming here and watching this month's Writing Prompt Party. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share these videos with your writer friends. And when you're looking for even more, head on over to the Stop Writing Alone website at stopwritingalone.com.